My name is Trent McManus, and I'm the head track and field coach at Chester County High School. And we're here in Central Park in New York City, and I've got two of my former runners with me, Evan Allen and Gideon McManus, my son. And these were two of the best runners that we've ever had in our history. They both were top 20 finishers in the state championships. Evan got second and Gideon finished 20th. And so they're going to do our dynamic warm up to show you today. And it's a series of things that we do every day to start our practice to make sure everyone gets warmed up and ready to go. It's going to stretch basically every muscle they have and get them ready for training that day. They start out by jogging 2 laps, which we're not going to do that. You just basically do that just to loosen them up just a little bit. And then we'll go through this with each step. Okay. Now in our dynamic warm-up, we're going to start out with high knees. And what I recommend, as you can see what they're doing, they're just literally bringing their knees up towards their chest. And what we're going to do, what I recommend is they go about 30 meters and then they'll walk back. Now they're going ahead and doing their high knees. Usually they'll do their high knees up and back. I thought they might be walking back, but they're going to do it both ways. That's good. All right, and now next we're going to do butt kicks. Oh, now I got it. All right, so they're doing butt kicks coming back. And now when we talk about butt kicks, they're not actually kicking their butt. You know, a lot of people mistake that. They don't have to. We just want to bring in their heel up towards their butt. All right, the next one we're going to do is side jumping jacks. And so when they do side jumping jacks, I like them to alternate them, go about maybe 4 or 5, then turn like Evan just did. And so they're going to do side to side. I also recommend while you're doing the dynamic warm-up that the boys and girls go separately, because if you don't, they tend to talk and giggle and sometimes even flirt around with each other. So it's better just to let the boys go, then let the girls go, or we let the girls go first, then the boys go. All right, this next one is called skip, skip, scoop. And this is just like it sounds. They're going to skip, and then they're going to scoop down to the ground. So they're skip, and then they scoop. The athletes really like this one. The main thing is just watch them, make sure they're actually doing 2 skips and then 1 scoop. Sometimes they get off on their numbers and aren't skipping the right number of times, or sometimes they might miss the scoop, because the scoop really is a good stretch. It really challenges them. They like the skipping part. Now the next one is skip for height. So these guys are going to skip, and what you want you to do is, Evan does really good, we want to reach as high as you can. With each arm, we want to reach as high as you can. And you really got to watch athletes, because sometimes they won't reach as high as they possibly can, and they'll try to, get out of it and not really jump. But we really want them jumping and reaching up high in the sky, as high as they can. Now we're going to do a series of skips. And we're going to do an A skip. An A skip is just literally a basic skip. And it's really just establishing the pattern for the B and the C skip. But we're just skipping. Sometimes athletes, if the other people are standing there watching them do it, they'll feel weird about doing the skipping. Since they're high school or college athletes, but if you ever go to track meet, these are a lot of the skips that you'll see people out there doing to warm up. All right, the next one is a B skip. And this is where it's basically a skip. And then you're gonna take you're kicking your leg out. So you're really trying to stretch that shin area. So it's an A skip, just a basic skip, and then kicking your leg out. Really getting that stretched out, that area below the knee, really good and stretched out. All right, next is a C skip. And this is where we're stretching out to the left and the right with each leg. And now we're trying to stretching that groin area out. Hopefully they're not going to kick each other. Now we're coming back, and I like that. And one thing I recommend too is sometimes you have athletes that cheat the drill a little bit, and they may stop early, or they may not start till about 5 meters in. And I just tell them, I say, if you don't do it right, then I'm just gonna make you do it longer. So I tell them it's better just to start out doing it and do it all the way till, and I stand where I want them to finish. Okay, the next one that we're gonna do is a straight leg shuffle. And this is basically where you're trying to run with a stiff leg, and you're really just trying to, and remember, these are not races. That's one thing I always try to tell them, you know, I said, this is not a race, this is a stretch. You know, we're not trying to see who can get done the fastest, or, you know, who can beat it, because sometimes they'll try to race each other, especially on this one. I don't know why they'll think it's a straight leg race, but it's really just what we call a shuffle, straight leg shuffle. Okay, now we're going to do backward running, and this is where we're going to work on our hamstrings. And remember, this is one where they need to stretch that leg out as far as they can. It's not a race. That's one, and this is another one. They'll start trying, oh, I'm racing each other, I'm going to beat you. It's not a race. It's a stretch. We're trying to reach backwards as far as we can. And like I said, we're trying to stretch that hamstring out so we don't end up pulling I've never had an athlete pull a hamstring in track and field. So it's probably because we do this every single day. We do these stretches. We really don't have injuries. Now we have soreness. We have, you know, I'll have an athlete come up to me, oh, I'm sore. And I said, well, yeah. We do workouts every day. You're sore. That's normal.
And after that, Elaine just told me.
The next one is single arm bounds. And this is where they're going to take turns with their arms. And they're bounding now. So they're not, it looks a lot like a skip, but they're bounding. It's kind of like, and they're alternating arms. Evan whacked the tree there. But he's bounding. And it's really making sure your arms, because you're going to be pumping your arms a lot in track, so we want to make sure those are nice and stretched out too. And as you can probably tell, this is double arm bounds. It's coming. This is where they're going to go with both arms at the same time. We really want to stretch those arms out. We want both arms stretching out, and it's kind of where they're both going in circles. Gideon's doing a really good job with his double arm bounds. Now Evan's got it. Sometimes it can be a little awkward getting that coordination on where you're bounding and having both arms. The next one is stabilizers, and this is basically where you're trying to drive your foot through the ground. It's where you're coming up and you're really just almost stomping through the ground, and you're taking turns, alternating. And this is where you're going to try to drive your foot down and try to really just basically stomp through the ground. And you're alternating feet. It's a beautiful day here in Central Park. The December and it's over 50 degrees, so this is a great running weather. And this is, Evan's going to do a good workout here in a little bit for he's heading into track season. He just finished cross country. Alright, and now this one, we just want them to go about 10 yards on this one. They're just going to do lunges. We don't want them, now this is, you're not going to go 30 yards of lunges. We only want them to go about 10 yards or 30 meters, which a meter is a little longer than a yard. So what we use is usually 30 meters will turn out to be about 35 yards if you're on a football field that's marked out. That's where we do all of our warm-ups on the football field. So it's easy for me. They start at the goal line, I stand at the 35-yard line. So they're just doing lunges. And now we're going to do side lunges. And same thing, just about 10 yards. And if they can point their toe up, you know, on their second one, so they can kind of get their toes stuck straight up in the air, that's a good indication that they're stretching good. Like I said, I recommend you do this every single day. We do this on our track and field, and our athletes like it. You don't have to beg them to do it. They don't complain about it. They enjoy it. They can talk to each other, you know, while they're waiting for the other group to go. The girls will go and the boys will sit and talk and have a good time together. And then when the girls are going, the girls can talk a little bit and the boys do theirs. All right, we're gonna add karaoke's into this, and this is basically where you're going sideways and stretching your arms. They're gonna go back to 30. I would actually incorporate these before the lunges. But this is something new that we're adding into our warm-up routine. So I kind of went out of order a little bit on that one. But when I do it, and you know, there's not a magic order that you have to go in. Okay, and the last one we do, the very last thing we do is we do what's called a falling start. And this is where they're literally gonna stand straight up and they're gonna fall into their sprint. And that'll also tell you which leg is dominant for them. If you're coming out of a blocks, if you're a sprinter, whichever leg comes out first, that's going to be their dominant leg. So they're going to lean and they're just going to fall forward until they just want to start sprinting, and then they're going to sprint all the way through. And we do that for about 30 yards or so. And that concludes that's our dynamic warm-up that we do every single day.